Hi. Today my guest is Patrick. He's a really good friend of mine, and we share one thing very much in common. We're both recovering alcoholics. We don't share one thing in common. Patrick has been sober a long time, and I've had a rough road of it. And I'm trying to figure out just exactly how in the heck did you do that, Patrick? How have you maintained over 30 years of sobriety? How have you done that so far?
So far, it's been one day at a time, of course. That's always the big
There's
key.
where I went wrong.
Yeah.
That's it.
And
I was too worried about next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, believing in the program.
Oh.
You know, that's the big thing about it, too. You know, when I started out into the program, it was something that I had to understand that I had a drinking problem. That it was a part of me, it was never going to change,
Yeah.
and that I had to believe in it. And I was fortunate. I had a grandfather that recovered and started the AA meetings in Tomo, Wisconsin, a nice small town.
Yep.
And he planted the seed in me that, hey, you might have a drinking problem when you're an adult. And I was
really?
very fortunate that he did that to me.
He wasn't prophesying this. He just was saying, "Hey, look, take a look. Take a look. There's a way out of this in case that happens."
Yeah. I come from a family of 10 children. And
I didn't know that either about you.
I'm a middle child.
Yeah.
It was one of those scenarios where my grandfather would go to AA meetings, and he'd always invite me along with him. At first I went because of the donuts. The donuts were always the key thing when you're a young child.
For a kid, that's it.
Yeah,
My mom used to drag me to Al-Anon or Al-Anon too, and it was the food, and I didn't understand what these ladies were talking about other than that.
But that's where it all started.
Yeah.
And then when my drinking escalated to a point where it was way beyond my control, that it was never under my control, but to a point where I just was getting in trouble, that's when I realized, hey, I do have a problem. You know, my grandfather must have thought I was going to have a problem, and so I started to go to AA and started to practice the 12 steps.
Out of idle curiosity, you had how many brothers and sisters?
I have 5 sisters and 4 brothers.
Okay, so how about drugs, alcohol problems in their lives?
I have a couple of them that are still practicing the drinking.
Okay,
and that, and I have two others that are sober right now.
In the program sober?
Yeah, in the program sober.
Okay, all right.
And that, so it's pretty good. You know, one of my brothers, as he likes to politely put it, when we tell him we have a seat reserved for him, he says, "Nope, I'm riding the bus to the end."
Oh.
And you know, it's too bad, but I pray for him, and you know, hope that someday, by my example or other people's examples, that maybe he might decide that he might have a problem. That's for him to decide, and we'll just worry about that when it comes.
Well, I'm really glad you're here talking about this, because this is what it's all about. We're putting together these interviews, as you know, Patrick, because this disease is out here to kill and destroy. You know, drinking, drugs, there's other things on our website about addictions that people have, but it's drinking and drug use has taken over, and I've watched too many of my friends, the loved ones in my life, die because they didn't get the help they needed. So Patrick, I'm hoping that your message, like the other people that I'm interviewing, is going to reach that. 1 or 2 people out there, hopefully 10, 20, 30, that'll say, hey, I used to drink like this guy. I used to drink like this guy. How did they manage to clear that out of their heads? And how did they find a way to what the big book calls happy, joyous, and free? You know, Patrick?
Yeah,
so at an early age you were drinking.
Yeah.
Right?
Very much so. You know?
Running around with other kids that drink.
Of course. You know, and did all those things that a typical young person does when they go out and drink and party. I mean, that's
we thought it was typical. We thought we were cool.
It was normal, you know. And the thing is that I look back now and I see those people, and some of them are very normal. I mean, they're running great lives now. They've never had a problem with alcohol. Yeah, they got wild nights and they could stop that's something I couldn't do. That's something that I didn't know how to do. You know, I could stop for others, and that when I had a girlfriend that didn't drink, yeah, I didn't drink for 2.5 years because she didn't drink.
Mm-hmm.
But the second that, you know, her and I broke up, alcohol came back into my life.
Which
You know, it
brings
was
up-
always waiting there.
This brings up another interesting point. Of the people I've talked to, you probably too, have found that you don't have to drink every day to be an alcoholic. You don't have to be doing drugs every day before you realize you might have a problem with drinking or drugging.
Exactly.
Okay.
You know, and it's something I didn't realize at first I did have the problem until I started reflecting back. You know, gee, I stopped for 2.5 years, so I must not have a problem. But then
For me, it was like I stopped for a date.
yeah.
Wow. Hey,
No
I can do
problem,
that.
stop for a
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
But, you know, the progression,
Mhm.
it was always there. The alcohol always stopped right where you left it. And you
Ain't
would
that
pick up
amazing?
right where you,
Hence why we call it a disease, because
Right.
it fits that criteria. It's progressive.
yeah, it just kept, you know, escalating, 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 until it did become a problem in my life.
Mhm.
You know, until it was a need, not a want. It was, you know, those type scenarios.
Mhm.
And my biggest thing, even though I'm an older person now, that I want to point out to people, is you can stop young.
Yes.
I mean, I was very fortunate. I stopped at the age of 25. I realized that I had a problem early on in my life. And the beauty of this whole thing is I was able to raise 2 children that never seen me drink, ever in their
Far
life.
out.
You know, to have a beautiful granddaughter now that will never see me drink, hopefully, you know, knock
Yeah.
on
Are you
wood.
knocking on wood?
Yeah, if there's wood around here,
Yeah.
but, you know, the scenario and that, and I can show them that life can be good without alcohol. Now, my children drink, but they also know that the alcoholism is in the family. In turn, they watch how much they drink. They're
Mhm.
very conscious of it, which I appreciate in society nowadays, that they're starting to do that a lot more. You
Yeah.
know? I mean, they're smart when they do go out. Both of my children are married. Both of them say, hey, if we're gonna go to a party, who's gonna drink and who's gonna drive?
And
Who's
really
gonna-
pull that off?
Right, it really
Wow.
pulled that off. So, and they do it because they learned early on in life that, hey, their dad has a problem. Their dad was a drunk. Their dad was not good at alcohol at all. He couldn't control it. That alcohol controlled him. So by doing that, it allowed them to start to understand that. And they watch themselves. They really do, which is good.
Yeah.
And hopefully they will never run into the scenario of having to go to a 12-step program. But they know it's there for them if they do need it.
And it is. It's
Yes.
there for you too if you need it.
Yeah,
For
it's here
sure.
for everybody.
Because another thing we've got in common, this will be 3, we both think social drinking is an oxymoron.
Yeah,
Yeah, because we don't get that. Oh, I had one. Really?
yeah.
You know?
Now, I was a social drinker.
What's that?
Well, you'll have a drink, social So, yes, I was definitely a social drinker, but I wasn't a social drinker in that. And, you know, there was things, I've dated people that drink and that. And I'll never forget this, when I was early on in the program, my first date, sober, was a drinker. And she had a drink and it didn't bother me at all. And she only drank half of it. And I was actually upset. Hey, I spent $6, $7 for this drink and you only drank half of it? How can you do that? Why can't you at least finish it for me? But that was, you know, the alcohol thinking.
Right.
That was
That's
the
way I think
alcoholic.
about
It was
it too.
like,
It's like,
whoa.
are you kidding me?
Yeah, how can you not finish a drink? But in turn, She was just a person that didn't drink.
Right, and if you were like me, you thought about finishing before them.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Yeah. And
oh, yeah. We laugh because we're still alive, because we decided we'd take another look at this thing too, by the way.
Yeah. And what I love about sobriety is it has given me the ability to do anything that I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that you know, most drinkers, they're very shy individuals, and they can't be themselves without having that extra drink for fear of people
Patrick,
criticizing them.
do you find that most of us,
Mhm.
us aliens, you know, because they're all earthlings out there, you know,
Yeah.
we're sensitive people. We have gifts and talents that are bottled up inside of us, and we're trying to repress something that we don't like and we don't want to face. We got a lot of FEAR, however you want to use that acronym,
Yeah.
you know, going on in our lives.
Yeah, we do. We have a lot of people like that, including myself.
Yep.
But through the program, I've learned I can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that I have done some of the most craziest things in the world.
Uh-oh.
And that being in the Navy, being a former band member in a rock group, and all that stuff, I've learned to, you know, go out to clubs and that, as long as if you're in AA, you're reading the big book, bottom of page 100, it says, you know, providing you're spiritually fit, you can all do all sorts of things that alcoholics are not supposed to be able to do. I've gone to clubs. I've danced on stage with naked women. I've had my boss...
Wait, tell them the best part. Come on.
Okay, I was naked too. With them. I had my boss, you know, who called me in the office the next day and said, you know, you gotta watch your drinking because, you know, you can't do these things. And then he was very shocked when I told him, hey, I was sober. You know, I just learned that I can do all kinds of things that are okay when you are sober, that it's not a problem. That I've met wonderful people in the program, people that you would never imagine meeting, and that who are clean and sober, and that's the beauty of this program. And the best part, the part I absolutely love about this program, is you can go anywhere in the world and it's there for you.
Yes.
And that I don't care what country you're in.
Yes.
And that I've been to 45 different countries so far. And every 45 countries that I've been in at AA, they may not speak the same language as I do, but it's there.
Steps 1 through 12.
1 through 12. And the book is there. It's just incredible that you can do this. And going to meetings, it's fun. Here, small community, you're kind of limited to what type of meetings there is. But go to a big city, go to Chicago, go to LA, go to any of those places, and you'd be amazed at the meetings you go to. Gay, lesbian meetings, and yes,
wait a minute, how do you find those?
And you go on the websites, and you check them out, and they will literally tell you what type of
Oh,
meeting.
that's right. I've been to big city meetings too, yeah.
And as an example, my best friend, who has 6 months more sobriety than I do, but we co-sponsor each other because we've been together for so long. We decided when we were in San Diego, because we both lived there at one time, to see how many meetings we could hit in a 24-hour period. And they were there. And the best one, the funniest one that I ever went to, and the most heart-filling meeting that I ever went to was a lesbian meeting. And at first, the women came up to us and politely said, hey, you know, this is really a lesbian meeting. And my comeback to them was, you know, it's not my fault that I'm a woman trapped in a male's body. Well, they obviously thought that was funny, and they invited us to stay. And to hear that their feelings, their emotions about recovery and about how to live sober were very heartfelt and genuine. And it was great. There's biker meetings out there. Those are my favorite meetings. You know, they're hardcore, they pull no punches type meetings. You know, there's newcomer meetings. Love them too. And you can learn a lot from newcomers.
Oh yeah, one of the things I learned just recently, within the last year I guess even, you know, something you alluded to earlier, Patrick, young people in recovery, and I think, oh, you know, how they come in here and they haven't seen like a real hardcore story, you know, going to jail, going to prison, drinking yourself out of kingdom after kingdom. You've lost everything, all your friends, all your relatives, all your children, your wife, your money, your job, the whole 9 yards. You're down and out. You've been in detox, whoever, you can't count how many times. Why would a young person that just maybe, you know, doesn't have all these things happening to them, why would they want recovery too? And the answer became pretty clear when a 20-year-old told me, because I don't want to end up here, and I believe you when you tell me that it can progress to this.
Exactly.
So I'm getting out of it now, and that's kind of you too.
Yeah.
You know, because didn't you tell me that you got recovered in the Navy?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So anything that happened that led up to that? That monumental moment where you thought, yep,
oh yeah,
well,
that little story there, it started out, this was just shortly after the 2.5 years of sobriety that I had because of dating a girl that did drink. I started drinking again, wasn't doing well with it, so I tried to escape where I was at the current command I was at, and I volunteered to go to a small place called Diego Garcia. And if you want to look at a map, it's 7 degrees below the equator in the middle of the Indian Ocean. There's absolutely nothing there. It's an island that is 1/2 mile wide and 32 miles from tip to tip.
Okay.
It's nothing there, except military. And I went there, and you know, lo and behold, to kind of show my age, in 1983, beer was $5 a case there, which most drinkers would love now, and soda was $5.50 a case. So I decided I would buy beer because it was 50 cents cheaper a case.
Mm-hmm.
And every payday...
Oh, I get the justification.
Save money.
sounds
you have to save money somehow. And I would buy a case of beer for every day, and that between paydays. 15 days between paydays, 15 cases of beer. Have to have them. And that's what I do, drink a case of beer a day. And in turn, my job performance was starting to get bad.
No.
Yeah, I know. Surprise, isn't it? Had a boss that was on my case about it, and so my last night of drinking, and that I wanted to impress my boss. So I decided, well, I went to the bar, and I was shooting pool, and I was doing well, and winning all kinds of drinks. So I was feeling really well. And then I was going to impress my boss, and it was going to be a busy night. I was normally the night supervisor. I'll go to work. Yeah, gotta go to work. Well, from what I heard about the day after I went to work was I took a 5-ton truck and I parked it so close to an airplane that the commanding officer of that airplane literally wanted to kill me. Because they draw a big circle of death around the plane where no motorized vehicles are allowed. And I blew past that, and I parked my 5-ton truck so close to the airplane, at least this is what I heard, that I could step off the truck, my 5-ton truck, and right onto the ladder of the airplane and go up inside it.
Okay, right next to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're right next to it. And the next morning, when my boss woke me up, so graciously, he gave me a choice. He said, Joe, Pat, we have 2 choices for you. One, volunteer for help, and maybe we can get you out of being in trouble. Or 2, don't volunteer for help. We'll get you the help, and then we're going to definitely make sure you're in trouble. So I took the chicken way out, and I volunteered for help. And with my grandfather's remembrance of him drinking and all that stuff, that's when I decided, maybe I should get sober. And, I had the instant flu for 3 days, otherwise known as detox.
Yeah.
And that, because let's face it, a case of beer a day, that's a lot of drinking.
Yeah, it's a lot of withdrawal.
A lot of withdrawal and that, and that's how it all started and that. But please understand, I'm not a perfect person. I mean,
really?
I know, it's kind of surprising, because as you go through your program, and as Jay knows and others know, that you get anniversaries. Usually there's some kind of a cake or something presented and that. Well, every year you normally get that. At 30 days, I got a cake, which was very, very unusual.
Your first 30 days.
My first 30 days in the program.
Yep.
And I thought, well, okay, but hey, I like cake, so let me enjoy this cake. And so I did. And then 2 years later, I ran into the same guy that got me the cake for my 30-day chip. And that, now my second anniversary of being sober, I asked him, I said, hey, why did you give me the cake at 30 days? And then he goes, I never thought you'd make it past 30 days. You like cake, so, in turn, I got you the cake. And that just goes to show how this program works.
Yep.
But also in turn, the sad part is that same guy that got me the cake ended up going back out drinking.
It happens.
It happens, and it happens more often than not. With the group that I got sober with at my 10-year anniversary, there was 2 of us left, and I was the only one that made it to 10 years. And that hurts.
Yeah.
And that. Now,
yeah, I can see it in your eyes, Patrick.
Yeah, in turn, I hope other people could go past the 10 years and everything like that. But you have to look at this program in your own way, but I look at it as far as like a birth. When you're first sober, you're an infant. The only thing you know how to do is cry and whine. And why is everything happening to me? But then as that goes through, you come into the terrible twos, where as an infant you're starting to run and before you're walking and doing all that stuff. And that's a dangerous time, because for me anyways, at 2 years, I was the Bible thumper. I knew every page of the AA book. I knew everything about AA that you ever needed to know. Just ask me and I would have told you. But as I went through the program more, I've realized that it's not that way. In the teenage years, I was kind of rebellious. I didn't drink and that, but yet I questioned a lot of it. And I went through a lot of dry drunks. And for those of you who don't know what a dry drunk is you do dumb things. And that you're not the perfect person. You literally do what drunks would do.
Well, you're sober, but not
You're sober,
sober-minded.
but you're not right. You're not, the sobriety isn't there. You're just sober. And that you're dry. That's all you are, is just dry. Now, as going through, and I'm close to 30 plus years in sobriety, I've realized I don't know much about AA. But what I do know about AA is it works, and as an adult, it's important for me to help others learn about the program.
Primary purpose.
Yeah. Pay back, give back.
Absolutely.
What you need to keep people sober.
Right.
And it's important to me. It gives me joy. There's nothing better in the world is to see somebody getting sober and to realize that maybe you just have a little part of that because you see yourself in it. You can watch what you went through, the struggles you went through, and realize how important it is to watch them, to help them grow, and to let them be who they are, let them develop their personalities. And I meet some of the most wonderful people in the program, don't you?
Oh, yes. The ones that I meet that are happy and the most joyous and the most free are the ones like you and me, Patrick, that have decided we'll ride over the baby hump, we'll ride over the toddler hump, and we'll get into this, where we understand the disease from three parts: body, mind, and spiritual. This spiritual program is enormous. You grab a hold of God as you understand Him. By the way, Patrick's a Buddhist, I'm a Christian, we get along just fine. Thank you. And the best way that you can change from your heart and everything inside you and get rid of all the funk that's in there that made you want to drink or drug to begin with is to grab a hold of that spiritual program and go with it.
Yeah.
And you grow with the program. And Patrick, you're no exception to the rule.
Oh, not at all. And, you know, Jay was saying, you know, I'm Buddhist and he's a Christian. And I didn't start out as a Buddhist. I mean, I started out growing up in a Catholic family, you know, trying to grasp Christianity. But through this program, what I learned is I don't have to be a Christian to be sober. And that I happened to find out that Buddhist religion fits me the most to help me gain that spirituality. But it doesn't mean that I have to hate Christians. It doesn't mean I have to hate Muslims. I don't have to do any of those things.
God's the big L anyway. It's love, man.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly. And the thing that, as I've told you, Jay, and I've told others, we may be all believing in the same person. We just call them a different name.
Could be.
We don't know that. A lot of the principles in Buddhism fit Christianity, fit Muslims, fit, you know, a lot of other different religions and that. So, you know, that's the important part is believe in something greater than yourself.
Exactly.
Because you are not the person that is the most important person here. It's your higher power.
That is a fact, Jack.
If you believe in them, they will provide for you. And if you're having bad days, and if you don't like anybody, or you don't like one particular person, it sounds very crazy, but pray for them and wish for them everything you got. You know, and it works. It may not work right away, but as a good example, there was a boss that I absolutely hated. And every time he would yell at me, I'd say, God help that son of a bitch. And 3 years later, he got sober. And, you know, he wasn't as bad of a person.
Wow.
He got sober.
That's because he grabbed that acceptance too, Patrick, don't you think?
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. And it took, you know, those beginnings of saying it to him, not maybe directly to him, but then all of a sudden really believing that, please help him.
Yes.
He has a problem. She has a problem. Help them too. And in turn, it comes true. So it's very important that to have that higher power in your life, that spirituality, because it keeps you grounded.
Right.
And that's the most important part.
Thanks, Patrick.
Yep.
Thanks a whole
Thanks,
lot.
Jim.
Yeah, I love you, man.
I love you too, bro. You have a good one.
Thank you.